could just sit beside her.
No.
Auntie Sandy said she thinks everybody's here. Okay. So, where's Sean?
Bobby and Uncle are just parking by you guys, so then we can all leave together.
Oh. Sean. I guess so. Everybody's like they're quiet. Sorry. It's over there. Come on, just wait. Just wait. Right, Jackson. Jackson, here. Let's sit here. Jackson, come here. You're gonna get sniffed on.
Save me a chair.
You guys want to come in here too? Yeah? You guys want to come in here too?
Or we, us four could sit here.
Oh, there you go.
Come, freaks. Boston.
What do you think? Is it too cold? Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna go get it.
I don't think it really. This one's right here, and they.
Only fun
There's spots by us, maybe. Wherever.
Carter.
Oh,
Just, you're fine. But just, I don't want to sit down and you not know I'm going to be there.
Okay. Okay.
You gotta move?
No.
Well, Bridge sits on cool chairs here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. We gather here this afternoon to celebrate the life of a beautiful soul, Beryl Margaret Sigfusson. She was a mother, mother-in-law, grandma, ama, sister-in-law, aunt, and friend. Regardless of your relationship to her, you likely share grief with many others. In our efforts to get through the program without too many tears, we hope you'll understand how difficult it is to say goodbye. Mom always said she wasn't sure how people manage to speak at funerals. It is so very difficult, and here I am. Remember, I'm her daughter, and the other 3 are her grandchildren, so we will likely have our moments. We kind of forgot when we were discussing last night about introductions. We figured you would all know who we are, but some of the people on the live stream may not. So I'm Susan Hempel, her daughter. Whoops. Tanya Nelson, her granddaughter, will speak today. Leanna Sigfusson, her granddaughter, will speak today. And Brett Hempel, her grandson, will speak today. So we have a combination of Mom's life story and some readings and music that she enjoyed. One of those being the first song you just listened to. We're also including some readings and music that has spoken to us. So I'll have Tanya come up now and read it. Come on.
She is gone. You can shed tears, but she is gone. Thank you. Or you can smile because she has lived. You can close your eyes and pray that she'll come back. Or you can open your eyes and see all that she has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see her, or it can be full of the love that you guys shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember her only that she's gone, or you can cherish her memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn back, or you can do what she would want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on.
I don't know, technical difficulties. I know it's not that I can hear you.
I took the supermarket flyers from the windowsill, threw the day old tea from the cup, packed up the photo album Matthew had made, memories of a life that's been loved. Took the get well soon cars and stuffed animals, poured the old ginger beer down the sink. Dad always told me, don't you cry when you're down, but Mum never did every time that happened. Oh, I'm in pieces, it's tearing me up, and I know a heart that's broke is a heart that's been loved. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mom. When I fell down, you'd be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. When God takes you back, you say hallelujah, you're home. Fluffed the pillows, made the bed, stacked the chairs up, folded your nightgowns neatly in a cake. Drunk said he drive, then put his hand on my cheek and wiped a tear from the side of my face. And I hope that I see the world as you did, 'cause I know a life with love is a life that's been lived. So I'll sing hallelujah. You were an angel in the shape of my mom. When I fell down, you'll be there holding me up. Spread your wings as you go. And when God takes you back, say hallelujah, you're home. Hallelujah, you were an angel in the shape of my mom. You got to see the person I have become. Spread your wings and I know that when God took you back, he said hallelujah, you're home.
Beryl was born May 12, 1930, in Askern, Yorkshire, England. Excuse me. The second child born to John and Lucy Ann Banton. She was 6 years younger than her older sister Winifred. Grandpa John and Grandpa Ann lived in Askern, Yorkshire for a few years until my mum was 5 years of age, and then they moved to Sutton, Yorkshire. Growing up in England, she enjoyed a happy childhood with memories of her love to ride her bike, play rounders, which is similar to American baseball, and spend her summer vacations at the seaside with her family. They were normally at Scarborough for a 1-week summer vacation. They stayed in a private house that provided all the meals and walked or took the bus to the daily beach outings or parks and public swimming pool. Most Saturdays, they went to Grandpa Cash's to visit until she was a teenager. So Leanna will come up now and do a reading.
When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give to me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live on in your eyes and not your mind. You can love me the most by letting hands touch hands, by letting bodies touch bodies, and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die, people do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away.
So Mum went to 3 different schools in Askern. She started in infant, she was 5 years old, then junior high and senior to age 14. She earned a scholarship to attend technical school in Doncaster and lived at home while doing so. So technical school there is like vocational or trade school here. She studied commerce in technical school, which included typing, bookkeeping, and shorthand. And when she graduated, was able to work in an office. At the age of 15, she started work as a receptionist at the Danham Hotel in Doncaster and remained there until they relocated to Canada when she was 17. After age 14, Auntie Wynne, her sister, worked at a Woolworths department store in Doncaster as a cashier. She then went to work at a hair salon in Doncaster and trained as a hairdresser. By the time Mum was 9, Auntie Wynne was working outside the home. And Mum remembers being Auntie's guinea pig when she got her first salon perm. The curlers were on these wire things which got connected to this big electric pole. I've seen pictures of that contraption, and I can't imagine being 9 with my older sister running the show. After a few years of hairdressing, Auntie joined the Women's Air Force at the age of 18 and became a driver. She did her training in Wales and then went to the Air Force Base near York. She was billeted at the Air Force Base, and this is where she met Wendell. She was married at the age of 19, and they returned to the base to live after the wedding. They came home as often as they could to visit. When Wynne got pregnant, they discharged her, and she returned home to live with Grandma and Grandpa and Mum in 1944. Uncle Wendell was a bombardier and went missing in June of 1944. He had parachuted out of a plane and had been shot down and became a POW of Germany. When he returned home, the war in Europe was over, but not in Japan. Uncle Wendell then returned to Canada, and Wynne lived at home with her baby Stuart until she left England for Canada in January of 1946. Unbeknownst to me, Mom had told me that Grandpa and Grandma had wanted to relocate to Canada in 1926. Grandma had a brother in the USA and in Canada. Mom can't recall why they never came at that time. When Wynne left after World War II, opportunity presented itself for Grandma and Grandpa and Mom, and so they emigrated to Canada in June of 1947. They joined Wynne and Wendell at their farm west of Wynyard, Saskatchewan. So at first, everybody lived in the big house, and then they cleaned up the bunkhouse for Grandma and Grandpa and Mum. She started work in Wynyard as an agricultural representative in the office, and then as a receptionist for Dr. Pollock. She worked at night at the theater concession, and Tanya tells me that she told her that is why she hates the smell of popcorn to this day. She boarded a room from an older lady when she was working in Wynyard, and previous to securing that room in town, she had to ride her bike in from the farm. And for me, having to ride a bike from Burns's farm to town, I wouldn't have done it. Mom is not sure what year Grandma and Grandpa moved to the Walker's farm on what I call the Sigfusson Road, and she thinks maybe they were there for about a year. She knows they were there in January 1952 because that's where she was married to Dad. Her parents moved back to the Burns farm after Uncle Wendell's accident when he lost his eye when he was dynamiting rocks on the farm. The dynamite did not blow up, so they went back to check it, and it blew up while they were there. She said Uncle Wendell and the hired man he had been picking rocks with were lucky that they were not killed. Then they relocated the bunkhouse from the west side of the big house to its present location and added on to it for Grandma and Grandpa. This is the house that I remember as a kid when I used to go visit Grandpa. It was in Wynyard in 1948 where she met Stain. They were engaged in 1950 and married in 1952. They built their house in 1951 and moved in when they were married, although the house was not finished yet. Mom and Dad were farming with the Sigfussons, and Wynne and Wendell were farming with Grandpa John and Grandma Ann. Grandma and Grandpa Sigfusson lived on the Bowdy farm just north of Mom and Dad's. Mom and Dad wasted no time growing their family. Here they had welcomed 5 of their 7 children, and Stainy's parents also welcomed 3 younger brothers to their family. Stainy's younger siblings spent much time together with their nieces and nephews, and to this day have strong bonds and many stories, which shouldn't be repeated, to tell of the time and farm and the Wynyard area. They lived there until 1957 when Dad transferred with National Grain from Wynyard to Archidale. They were there until late 1959, and then they transferred to Zealandia. They stayed in Zealandia until April 1963, when Dad started with the penitentiary in Prince Albert. Okay? She's not sure if she had, sorry, I think I lost my place. He started with the penitentiary in Prince Albert. She's not sure if she had 3 or 6 weeks of, if he had 3 or 6 weeks of training in Kingston, Ontario. And she was left at home with 6 children. Over the next few years, he went to Kingston a few times for further training. While in Prince Albert, they moved 4 times. And to hear Spud tell the story, they moved 1 block each time. They transferred to Drumheller September 7th, 1967, penitentiary.
Beryl was busy tending to her large family and sometimes had taken short-term jobs or retail positions. Auntie Maggie said it's ironic. One of the first jobs she had in Drumheller was here cleaning the Winters funeral home, and now it's one of her last stops. She worked at Kurgan and Agard's accounting and Mel's Shoes in 1974. She started to work for the Drumheller institution. She worked here, retiring from her clerical position in sentence administration in 1987. Staney retired in June of 1988, and they had the opportunity to do a little bit of traveling. Yukon, Alaska, USA, Bermuda, England, and unfortunately, Staney passing away in 1989. Beryl moved forward in her new adventures, involving herself in the Pioneer Center, card clubs, volunteering for the Royal Purple, Meals on Wheels, curling, bowling, traveling. Documentation of most of her travels indicates 7 trips to England, 3 times to the Maritimes, 2 trips to Europe, Italy, France, East Germany, West Germany, Austria, Denmark, Switzerland, Netherlands, Spain, once to the Yukon, twice to Alaska, Bermuda, 13 trips to Reno, 1 to Vegas, Churchill, Manitoba, Seattle, Northwest Territories, Cook Islands, Fiji, Panama Canal, including Aruba, St. John, St. Thomas, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, 6 times to Medicine Hat, to Bonners Ferry, Fort McMurray for the Alberta Senior Games, Regina, Cranbrook, Winnipeg, Cuba, Deadwood in North Dakota, Redwoods in California, Mexico, Wendover, Vancouver, cruise to Mexico, Coeur d'Alene, and many other provinces and states with us all. From 1974 to 2012, 60 trips were cataloged over 38 years. Common travel partners besides family members are Bernice, Janet, Helen, Jermaine, Mina, Ada, and I'm happy to report that most of the gambling trips with the ladies' mom never lost her skirt because she only played the pennies. Her friends from her card and travel groups were very dear to her, and she spoke of them often. With much fun and happiness of her time spent with those activities, she has told us that she will have many bridge partners to choose from when she finds her new journey.
To everything there is a season, a time to every purpose under the heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which was planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance.
Often in the middle of some of Amma's journey, the last few months while in the hospital, she would be enveloped by activities of children. They always brought smiles to her face, and this writing reminds us of how much she loved those children. I believe in children because God surely does. He creates them beautiful and lovable. I believe in children because they are teachable. They delight in following noble examples of right living. I believe in children because they inspire a youthful outlook and spirit. They keep the world young by their boundless activity and energy. I believe in children. I believe in the future, and in the ultimate triumph of good over evil.
One day as we were sitting in the hospital room, she had a pick and she was picking at the back of her teeth. She's just laying in bed picking the back of her teeth. She says, "This is why I'm so wise, because I still have my wisdom teeth." She took her pick and carried on. She also just announced one day that she had a slightly used boot for sale. Actually, she would have a lot of left shoes for sale. And she thought perhaps if we sold them on Kijiji, that we could use some cash to buy her some new teeth. I called her a princess one day when she was getting cheeky in the hospital. She didn't bat an eye and she just looked straight ahead and she said, "Queen." So to all of you that think or that I tell, I guess I truly am a princess now that I know my mother was the queen. After finally getting down to the OR for her second amputation, I asked how she was doing. She looked at me. She had no teeth in. She had the little hair net thingy on her head. And she says, "Piece of cake." Sorry, Mom? "Piece of cake." She was so resilient and always found the bright side in things and had a great sense of humor and wit. This is another reading that I could see Mom thinking or saying.
I'm growing old. It is sad to see so many men and women afraid of growing old. They're in bondage to fear. Many of them, when they find their first gray hair, are alarmed. No one really ought to be alarmed when one's hair turns gray. If it turns green or blue, then you should see a doctor. But when it turns gray, that simply means there is so much gray matter in the skull that there's no longer room for it. It comes out and discolors the hair. Don't be ashamed of your gray hair. Wear it proudly like a flag. You are fortunate in a world of so many to have lived long enough to have earned it.
Mom always found a way to be positive about what was going on around her. She never judged or spoke ill of other people and their situations. She truly believed if you had nothing nice to say, that you should say nothing at all. It is difficult for us to consider this world without her presence. She has always been such a pillar of example for our family. Always happy, with a sweet smile or a giggle, never complained, never raised her voice, never insulted, calm, and always dignified and refined. She managed to raise 7 children and make us each feel special without being favored. She loved equally and was kind and giving. Grandpa John loved to sing, and I believe he passed that along to Mom. She loved music and dancing, and you often could see her foot tapping along. Well, it was more than obvious. She is responsible for introducing Brett to the old crooners, and maybe even Brandon. And also, I think I love music and theater the way I do. I remember Saturdays as a kid, the big old stereo we had, and the LPs that got played. Dad would dance with me on his feet in the living room and the dining room. All the rest of you guys were out partying while I was at home with Mom and Dad. I remember also loving to watch my parents dancing together. I think that is an art that has been lost with current generations. All 7 of us grew up in the same house, with the same parents and siblings. Yet we all remember things differently. I remember saying to Alan one day, a long time ago, that we all grew up in the same house and we're all so different. And he said, well, we're a lot more alike than you believe we are, and I kind of got mad at him. I pondered that for a while, and I realized he was right. They managed to raise 7 responsible, hardworking adults in society who have continued to grow our parents' legacy. This next writing, which was published in a U.S. newspaper, speaks to my reality of growing up in the Sigfusson household. Although most would say that we were not a Christian home, our principles are very much so. The Christian home. Why is the Christian home such a fine and precious thing? Because it is a garden of the Lord, a nursery for human lives to grow in. Its seclusion, its shelter, its wise and careful culture are invaluable to growing souls, and nothing can make up for the lack of them. The home is the God-appointed educator of mankind. We have a multitude of institutions which we call schools, but the real schools, where the real lessons of life are learned, are the homes of America, Canada. We still hear a good deal about the higher education, the highest that can be had. It is found in the lofty lessons of self-control, self-sacrifice, sublime faith, and splendid trust, which home life has such a marvelous power to teach. There is no training to be had in school or college or anywhere in the world which can take the place of the discipline of the home. Every true Christian home is a university, fully equipped, amply endowed, and able to give the highest education which can be got in this world. Mom led by example, trusted us to make our own choices and decisions, and with that came the responsibility of owning the outcome. We were taught to work hard. If you're going to do something, do it right or don't do it at all. For God's sakes, do not lie. Treat others as you wish to be treated. Help your neighbors. Spell properly. Know how to read a map, Brett. Use a dictionary and a thesaurus. Pay attention and you might learn something. We played cards and games at a young age and had no idea it was providing skills like math and critical thinking, competition, and learning how to win and lose. She was also pretty thrifty throughout the years. When Dad died, the boys found her stash of liquor throughout the house, and many laughs have been had over the price tags on the undrank ALCB bottles of booze. Alan still has one, apparently. Sandra and I have been laughing on and off the last while, hoping that we'll find the treasure map to the cash stashes she's got, and that hopefully Spud has not found it and figured it out already.
Grandma was predeceased by many beloved family members and friends, most notably her husband Staney and daughter Joanne. She leaves to mourn her loss 3 daughters, Maggie and Terry Nelson, Sandra and Peter Brack, Susan and Keith Himple, and 3 sons, Garth and Leslie Sigfusson, Alan and Adele Sigfusson, and Terry Sigfusson. Grandchildren, me and Scott, Ryan Nelson, Jody Brack, Wes and Raven Brack, Brett Himple and Carly, Chris and Janelle Sigfusson, Lindsay and Jeff Serrata, Kelly Sigfusson, Leanna Sigfusson and Colton, Erica Sigfusson, and Alex Sigfusson, as well as 13 great-grandchildren and many extended family members.
One of Mama's great-grandchildren made a card for her today, so I'm just going to show you and I'll read what it says. It says, "To Amma, we love, love, love you. Love, Peyton." And then on the inside, it says, "We really miss you. I hope we get to see you." Thanks, Peyton. Okay, so I think everyone here knows me, but just in case, my name is Leanna, and Beryl was my Amma. When I was a little girl, and I would mention my Amma, I would invariably get asked the question, "What's an Amma?" And I would typically reply, "It's Grandma" in Icelandic. Today as an adult, I realize that an Amma is so much more than just Grandma in Icelandic. reflecting on this, I asked Amma's other grandkids to tell me what an Amma means to them. And these are some of the things that we shared with each other. An Amma is understanding. She's Yorkshire pudding on New Year's Eve, smothered in gravy or classic British style with vinegar and sugar. She's stories of travel to fascinating places and stories of back home in England. She's a Blue Jays game with a shandy. An Amma is warmth. She's endless card games of Uno, Go Fish, Stop the Bus, Rummy, or whatever tiresome game us kids wanted to play. We all became card players because of Amma. She is a demonstration of compassion and community as we drove around with her delivering Meals on Wheels. She was the best damn 2 weeks of summer vacation every year. And Amma is gentle. Her voice only ever raised when we deserved it. She's the green turtle in her backyard we all played with. She's sticky Macintosh toffee and Werther's Originals. She's raspberry picking and jam making. She's Earl Grey tea with milk and sugar. She may not be the Queen of England, but some of us sure thought she was. And Amma is patient. She is the image of a strong, resilient woman, raising 7 children and molding them to become the amazing parents we all have today. She was the leader of this family and could quiet even the loudest of voices with a simple yet firm, sit down and shut up. She was quiet, but not to be mistaken for meek. No one was Amma's boss. And Amma is joy. She is the magical spirit of Christmas as we waited down in that dark basement for Santa to show up. She's warm bowls of chicken noodle soup and a never-ending supply of food downstairs. She is the sound of laughter rising up above all the other sounds. She was birthday cards and Christmas presents that never failed to show up. She was the definition of selflessness. And Amma is memories. Memories stored not only in our minds, but in our hearts. She's memories of bedtime stories and special crackers at Christmas. She is moon-themed sweaters and soft shortbread cookies. She is the gift of our favorite perfume and the person to remember the cooked turnips that we always forgot to make for our brother. And lastly, an Amma is unconditional love. Each and every one of us never for a moment doubted that we had an Amma who loved us for exactly who we were. We had an Amma that was proud of us and that always held us in her heart and mind. We had exactly the Amma that we needed, and we couldn't have asked for anything more. We are truly blessed for every single moment that we had with her, and she will forever be in our hearts.
So the last few years have been difficult. Chronic health issues started to cause some difficulty for Mom. And being hunkered down for 17 months due to COVID took its toll as well. A nasty infection grounded itself in her stupid body, as she referred to it, and it just wouldn't let go. Since June, she's been bouncing around the healthcare system and had a lengthy, difficult experience at almost every turn. In her normal, resilient way, she dealt with it calmly and gracefully. She had many doctors and healthcare nurses throughout her journey in Drumheller, Stettler, and Red Deer. So many that tried to make her as comfortable as possible over the last few months. Her mind was exceptional for a woman of 91, Dr. Olfert told her, and she would often say, if it weren't for her stupid body. As a large family, COVID protocols restricted the personal care and visitations we would have liked to have had with her. We are grateful for the compassion, kindness, and care she received from others when we could not be there. We are each grateful for the opportunity to have had some time with her, albeit 2 at a time, prior to her departure, to share how proud we are of her, how much we loved her, what she meant to us, and how very much she was loved. Wanting her to be safe, comfy, and happy. Whatever that meant to her. If she's good, we'll be good. We promised her that. Although we are so very, very sad to see her leave us, we are happy knowing that she will be free of her difficulties from the last few years and that she will forever watch over us. When we asked her what her happiest times were, she said she couldn't pick one. She had so many to reflect on. And we agreed that was a really great thing. When we asked her what she didn't get off the bucket list, she said the stacks and stacks of yarn and wool she didn't use, because I'm sure she figured she lost some money there somehow. And then she followed that by, she wished she had gone to Hawaii with Mrs. Chalmers. New Zealand and Australia, she didn't get done either. All in all, I would say that's a life well lived. Kudos to you, Mom.
Uncle Harold sends these thoughts. Beryl married my brother in 1952 when I was 4 years old or so. I've known Beryl for over 70 years. Staney and Beryl lived on the farm a stone's throw away from our house for the first few years when Staney farmed with Dad. They moved to live in Wynyard when Staney started working for National Grain. Harvey and I stayed at their place many times when the weather was bad so we could get to school. So Harvey and I were around Beryl in our formative years, and she played an important part in who we became. Beryl was always welcoming to everyone. She was always positive, calm, dignified in her own quiet way. When Beryl immigrated to Canada, she never looked back, but forged ahead, challenging the future. Beryl never wasted her time and energy complaining about what life dealt her, but worked on the things she could control to make life better for her and her family. She just was never negative or critical of anyone or anything. And in closing, I would like to say to you, the children of Beryl, you should be very proud of the great job you have done in helping Beryl. You have all included her in your family activities, holidays, celebrations, fishing trips. You have all made a huge difference in how happy and complete the 32 years since your dad has died have been. You have all been by her side through these great health difficulties. You have all been wonderful children who Beryl was always very proud of. Now many seniors have been as well taken care of by their families, as well as you have taken care of your mom. God bless you all with all our love. Harold.
In reflecting the last few weeks, what stands out in my memories of Grandma is laughter. So much laughter. Grandma was not a family comedian, but she quietly encouraged the teasing, mischievous, playful fun, and ongoing jokes. While reminiscing about Grandma always being on the go between traveling and her busy card game schedule, my mom joked, "You want Grandma to stay in one place, you needed to nail her shoes to the floor." But that likely wouldn't happen because she had 30 other pairs to choose from. My dad teased that Grandma was a bad influence, as when she traveled with them, they often managed to find themselves in a pub for a drink or to gamble. When I told this to Grandma, she smiled, shook her head, and stated, "It was your dad who was driving. I just went along with the ride." There is a story that is ingrained in my memory, as it has been shared repeatedly around birthdays, and I've even seen photo evidence in Ryan and I's baby books. Ryan and I had our first birthday party while we were visiting Grandma and Grandpa's. To celebrate, Grandma made us a lovely cake, what my mom called god-awful green icing. Well, apparently I ate the cake and had sticky green icing everywhere, but Ryan didn't get any on him. Well, my mom decided to dab some icing on Ryan's face, and Ryan began to pout and cry, and Grandma didn't have any of that. She decided to take the cake and smash it in my mom's face so that she too was part of the birthday mess. This has always stuck out in my mind, that whatever mischief was going on during our family gatherings, Grandma would always have our back. We'll now watch the end of the slideshow and then take a moment to reflect before we go to the cemetery for interment.
It's going to take a minute. The projector shut itself off in the meantime. Just take a minute more.
People say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and skin and bones. A mind that's weak and a back that's strong. You load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning when the sun didn't shine. I picked up my shovel and I walked to the mine. I loaded 16 tons, a number 9 coal, and the straw boss said, well, bless my soul, you load 16 tons. What do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. I was born one morning, it was drizzling rain. Fighting and trouble are my middle name. I was raised in the canebrake by an old mama line. Can't go a high-tone woman make me walk the line. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. If you see me come, better step aside. A lot of men didn't, a lot of men died. One fist of iron, the other of steel. If the right one don't get you, then the left one will. You load 16 tons, what do you get? Another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can't go. I owe my soul to the company store. Unforgettable, that's what you are. Unforgettable, though near or far, like a song of love that clings to me.
how the thought of you does things to me never before. Has someone been more unforgettable in every way? And forevermore, that's how you'll stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too. Unforgettable in every way, and forevermore, that's how you stay. That's why, darling, it's incredible that someone so unforgettable thinks that I am unforgettable too.
I'm just going to take a moment because we're going to play one more song, and just the last song, you can gather items, take your time, and we'll let it play all the way through, so take your time. We have the side door to go out, it's locked right now, and the door on the northeast corner here, Maggie, Terry, the young lady came through, so we use those two doors, and we'll just take our time, we'll gather outside. I'll come back in, I'll leave the urn where it is, but I'll come back and get the urn, bring it into the coach, the hearse, and the family will all follow me to the cemetery. We'll go 30 kilometers, keep bumper to bumper, put your lights on and such. I'll just stay close to me and keep following me. Just stay right on me, okay? And there'll be some lights involved and such too, but just stay right on my bumper to bumper, everyone. We'll have time to turn around, so we'll just take our time now, and we'll leave everything here. Susan and I talked, flowers, and whoever it is that's coming back after the columbarium will gather the items here. Following me back. There's a bathroom here, and and such. So take your time, okay? And such. So we're not going to rush out there. We'll take our time, gather, so we're all getting in our vehicles around the same time, okay?
You want our hazard lights on?
You put your hazard on, your high beams on, yes. Yeah, thank you.
And now the end is near, and so I think that final curtain, my friend, I'll make it clear, I'll state my case, of which I am certain. A life that's full. I travel each and every highway and more, much more. I did it my way.
I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption.
I climbed each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much, much more. I did it my way.